Okay, so now we're in training camp. We are at the point now, like Joe, I cannot tell you how happy I am that training camp is actually here because, we can actually take a look at some of these teams that are actually going to actually have something to do with it. Like I'm so excited. I'm so happy.
It's the most magical time of the year. I love.
Don't let my mom hear you say that because she is the Clark W. Griswold of the Hall family or the Murray family, excuse me. Now, okay, so I need to go into a flawless transition here of talking about the top questions for the Dallas Cowboys during training camp. What do you see as, okay, you come back after a season, a little disappointing. I'll extend the olive branch, but at the same time, there's a lot of positivity. Like there's a lot of things, quality, and there's a lot of positive things going on for the Dallas Cowboys. What do you see as the biggest questions, during training camp?
Because not a lot of things that people expected to be addressed were addressed, through free agency. It's going to be a lot of finding out about these draft picks. Wideouts are the biggest thing. Who Dak's going to throw to? Mm-hmm. With Amari Cooper gone to Cleveland Town, will CeeDee Lamb step up and fill the vacuum that Cooper left? Theoretically, that's what he's supposed to do, and then you hear all this kind of gossip about CeeDee not being as close with Dak as Amari Cooper was, and then having not bonded because of they didn't really play a whole lot together because for CeeDee's rookie season, Dak was injured for most of it. So, and then I think because of COVID protocol,
something like that. Yeah.
Was he just wasn't with the team during during the rest of that season when he was put on he wasn't even on reserve. He was just on the injury list. So, so I'm curious how things develop between Dak and Amari, especially with Gallup's not going to be in training camp. His knee or his leg is still healing up. He apparently, according to ESPN, he's had a schedule on his recovery, but he'll miss most of September and obviously all of training camp. So that affords Dak the opportunity to really target CeeDee and really get comfortable with him, but he'll also have Dalton Schultz. This isn't my most exciting rookie, but Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin, the tight end, he's probably going to see a lot of looks in training camp, and I think that's all for the better. I think that's good for Dalton Schultz because he's got this 1-year deal. And that kind of makes this year an audition year for him to if he wants to earn a big paycheck either with this team or somewhere else, but ideally with the Cowboys because I am a Dalton Schultz fan. But having this rookie who's a bit of a player himself, that'll elevate the level of competition, and that's good for everybody. So it's kind of. The wide receivers are the biggest deal, and I'm counting the tight ends because they don't use tight ends for blocking; they just use them as, slot receivers.
Yes,
which is fine because that's Dalton Schultz is not a good blocker. We'll see how Jake Ferguson does. So just addressing kind of what this new identity receiving core looks like for a fully healthy Dak, and that's the thing I'm paying the most attention to so far. Like the biggest thing out of camp is just Jerry sitting there in press conferences with Mike next to him, just saying all my decisions are good decisions, and we never make any mistakes, and everything's fine. And we, there's a lot of cope coming out of that front office right now, and it's frustrating because for the way we left last year, last season, in a home playoff loss to a team that really wasn't that good. I think by every objective standard, it's not just bitterness, me saying this at this point. I mean, they've dismantled they've cut that quarterback loose that took them to the NFC Championship 2-3 years in a row now.
Yep.
So, for as little adjustment as has been made, other than losing players like Randy Gregory and Amari Cooper, it's talent levels there. I just wonder if Mike McCarthy can luck into another Super Bowl victory.
Yes,
without Aaron Rodgers there to make it happen for him. You go back to the tape of me at this time last year saying, yeah, maybe Mike McCarthy's not as dumb as we think he is, and me saying something similar the year before that was a little bit nicer. And this year we know what a buffoon this man is. We know he's a terrible leader, that he doesn't motivate his players, and he's got on paper one of the most talented teams in the league.
Oh, yeah. Without question.
Other than the Bucks or the Rams. It's tough to watch because, I like this team a lot. Not just that it's my team that I cheer for. I like this roster a lot. Same. I like these players a lot, and I don't know. Every time I see Tony Romo shilling beef or Subway sandwiches on TV, it's nice to see him, and he's great on Sundays with Nance, but it's we wasted this man's career. Never. There should have been a ring in there somewhere, or at least an NFC championship. At least Danny White went to 4 or 5 NFC championships. And Romo never even got past the divisional. So that, I fear, not just for bragging rights, because obviously those are fun, all that, trash talking and stuff. I just after the heartbreak of the 2017 divisional, that home loss to the Packers, I've wanted this version of the Cowboys to get there more than what I felt in a long time, other than the promo team of years back. But it's hard to believe that it could happen. Even this early in the season, I'm kind of just we're probably going to go, 13-5, I don't know, and then lose at home in the wild card.
I gotta tell you, man, I appreciate your what's the word? It's
17 games, so it'd be 12 and 5. Let's say 12.
12 and 5, but then it's 12 and 6 potentially in the wild card. I don't know whatever it makes it overall, but I'm actually really interested to see what Mike McCarthy and company do this year. You have that disappointment, you have that way that it ends that year. I know we've talked about it a bit, but I feel like this is you're out of a make or break situation. But as far as some of the latest things, I think that we need to watch for. I'm really excited to see what Terrence Steele does along that offensive line. If he's actually going to be bumped into guard, if he's going to be a player that they look at maybe as the potential long-term replacement for Tyrone Smith, because he's still a dude. Sam Williams, I'm interested, I'm intrigued. I felt like he's actually, when you watch the tape on him, the boy pops off. The man is, he can absolutely get after it on that edge for you. My question is, where does he get fit now? Where does he go to? Is he going to be a guy that you come in and start right away? I had 12 and a half sacks his senior year there at Ole Miss. So, he's going to be a guy to watch for. But there's also guys that I don't think people are really keeping an eye on, but they should. Now, I'll also be a little bit honest here. I'll extend the full olive branch here. I was like, one of the guys I played with in college, he was friends with Jabril Cox, the linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. Ended up, they played together at Missouri. Jabril went to NDSU, won a couple of national championships. Dude was amazing there too. And then he went to LSU, had a standout year, and then he came back and got drafted by the Cowboys. There's players like Jabril Cox that people need to keep an eye on. Yes, Micah Parsons is amazing. We know all that. But a guy like Jabril Cox could come in and just absolutely annihilate wide receivers, running backs. He's got the speed to keep up with these guys. He's got the strength. Like, this guy is going to be, I think he's going to be an absolute hand, moving forward. So I'm really excited about his future, and just really kind of look at some of the things that could happen now. Another thing I really want to keep an eye on, is specifically, like you said, that number 3 wide receiver for the Cowboys, Jalen Tolbert, a guy coming out, I think he's another guy that I don't think people are considering. Like, I don't think people are really like keeping an eye on what he did there at South Alabama. We're talking about a guy that had back-to-back 1,000-yard years, 8 touchdowns in both of those years. South Alabama. Joe, I got a D in geography in high school, so I don't know where Alabama is on a map, but I sure know that South Alabama is no Alabama. So the fact that he did that, had that kind of production, there, I think he could do some things with the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. And it's not like he's going to be asked to do everything right away. Like, you've already got CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup there, so you got Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard. The list goes on and on of all the weapons you guys have. But Jalen Tolbert, I'm excited for. I think he's going to be not only a guy you have to keep an eye on, but I think he's going to be somebody that teams will have to plan for early on than a lot of people think. But, and like I said, along the offensive line, there was a lot of injuries last year. I'm interested to see, who's going to step up there if there is another guy that goes down, because it's not like this offensive line is not talented by any means. It's got a lot of guys that I think probably could start for every NFL team. But I'm really interested to see how the rest of this offensive line kind of comes together.